Preparing the breast for breastfeeding. I know there's some women that cannot breastfeed for whatever reason. I do know there's some women that pump so they can breastfeed if they had to go back to work. Breastfeeding does so much for the mom, and it is the only pure food for the baby. There was a woman in our church that had twins. A boy was smaller than the other one, and she gave the little one the formula, and she gave the older one her breast milk. Or was it the other way around? I don't remember now. I have to ask her. But the one that she gave the breast milk has nice blue eyes, and the one she gave the formula has brown eyes. So to prepare the breast, because the breast can get tender if you don't prepare them, toughen them up with a terry cloth. Some people say you can pump before you actually deliver. Some people that say that's what husbands are for. I don't want to ask, but anyhow. But I would do something to toughen them up a little bit so they're not as sore. Also, the way you latch is huge. The way the baby latches, I'm sorry. The baby latches on the breast is huge. I got my daughter because I had cracked, sore, bleeding nipples whenever I breastfed. It was horrible. And I had asked a lot of people, and they told me that if you get one of those, it's like a U. It's shaped kind of like this. And it is a breastfeeding pillow. And you put it around you, and you lay the baby on this. So the baby's not tugging at the breast at all. And then you just kind of hold the breast like you would a bottle in the beginning so the baby can latch on. But the baby latches on well, and there's no pulling at all because the baby's weight is on that pillow. The chances of the breast getting tender are a lot less. My daughter never really complained. She says, yeah, it's not real comfortable in the beginning, but she says, I wouldn't say it hurts. But I got her 2 of these puppies. Make sure that didn't happen to her.
We have them too. They're boppies.
Oh, boppies? Is that what you call them? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Joanne says it's a boppy. Yep, it is.
Okay, good. Well, that's what I would do to keep you from... And whenever possible, breastfeeding is huge. It helps infest the baby's intestines with good bacteria. It has the nutrients, the fatty acids, everything it needs in the ratio that it needs. There's nothing like it. Another thing I believe in the last 5 weeks of the pregnancy is to take something called 5W. And actually, I usually do it 6 weeks before the due date, just to make sure, because if you do it for only like 4.5 weeks, it doesn't work as well. But 5W is amazing. I had a friend that, we always say that her children, when they come out, were ready for kindergarten. She had big babies. She had, I think her smallest one was like 9 pounds something. Some of them were 10 pounds. I think she even had an 11-pound one. But she had really big babies. Her labor was unbelievable. The last baby was only 9 pounds something. I think it was like 9 pounds 11 ounces, which is still a big baby. She took chromium. Chromium helps the baby stay a little smaller. So if you don't want to have a 10-pounder, and there's no reason why the baby can't grow when it's outside of you rather than inside of you, you might want to take a little bit of chromium. Again, it's a trace mineral, so just a little bit. But we gave her 5W because her labors were just more than she can bear. It was just horrible. And she took the 5W and she said, the labor was so easy. It was amazing. Tara Belderock, and I'm sure none of you guys know Tara Belderock, I was telling her about how easy the pushing is. And she acted like she didn't believe me. I said, I'm telling you, Tara, take it. Her labors weren't long, but she says, you got to push pretty hard to have a baby. I said, I'm telling you, take the 5W and the uterus does most of the work itself. Well, she took it for her one child, and I don't remember which one it was. But she called the midwife. She says, my labor's coming on pretty quick, and you know I deliver usually pretty quickly. Can you meet us at the hospital? She said, well, I'll tell you what. I'm so-and-so place. I'll meet you at the bottom of the hill, and I'll check you, and then I'll follow you to the hospital. Well, whenever Tara stood out of the car, the midwife went down to check her, and the baby was right there, and the baby just came, just one push, and the baby just came right out. So that's Tara sometime. She had their baby right in front of the ATM on the side of the road. Usually people don't have to worry about that. That's because her delivery was so quickly. But the delivery is so much easier with this stuff. I also believe in having a developed birthing plan. Because when you go in there, you're excited and there's a lot of commotion going on. People come in and ask you things, and you may not make the right decision at that moment. My first granddaughter, when she was born, the doctor came in and says, oh, we got to give her a vitamin K shot. And my daughter says, no, we're not going to do any shots. And she turned to my son-in-law and says, if you don't give her a vitamin K shot, she's going to have a hemorrhage in her brain and she'll end up with brain damage. And he's scared the bejeebers out of him. So he said, Nicole, I really want her to have the vitamin K shot. So she did. And she had problems with her liver and her bowels from the vitamin K shot. But the second time, Nicole says, I'm going to know exactly what we're going to do here. And she knew she didn't want a vitamin K. She went the HIB shot. The different things that she wanted and didn't want to have done. Have that plan. Because if they ask you and you're not used to what's going on, you, like I said, could make a choice that you would not make later on. And it will affect the health of the baby.
Okay, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Donna says that slippery M also works amazing, like the 5W. The baby slips right out.
I never used it for that. I do know that you've got to watch, you don't mean topically, right? Because topically can cause a miscarriage. They used to do abortions using slippery elm. So you don't mean topically, you mean by mouth during the pregnancy?
Yes, internally.
Okay, good. I never used that, but I know the 5W is unmistakable. I mean, the labor is usually quicker and easier. So thank you. That's a good backup idea. All right, the next thing is I prepare the pituitary. And I think what I said, again, alfalfa is one of my favorites. But it's the pituitary gland that produces the oxytocin. And oxytocin is what causes you to start labor. The contractions and the labor starts because of oxytocin. If you don't produce enough oxytocin, they usually give you Pitocin in the hospital, which is a cow hormone from the pituitary gland. And I had that with my son, and I felt like I was having a cow. The labor is much worse than the labor you have with your body producing its own oxytocin. At least in my case it was. Anybody else here have both an oxytocin birth and a Pitocin birth?
No.
Nobody?
Oh, let me see up here. Somebody up here says yes. Let me see who's over here. Mary Kate.
Okay, Mary Kate,
Says
which was the easiest one, the Pitocin or the oxytocin? Or were they equal?
Both. I had an epidural.
Oh, well, you cheated. Okay, well, she wouldn't know then. But without an epidural, let me tell
She
you.
goes, sorry.
That's fine, that's fine. Okay, we already talked about preparing the the pituitary for prevent breech births and stuff like that. A master gland, you can also use. Alfalfa and is a little cheaper than master gland, but it's the same thing. And this came from a guy named Doug somebody. I can't remember what his last name was. But he and his wife would infuse clary sage to help prevent or lessen birth pain.